What is love? Is it merely human instinct, a selfish will to exist in groups? Or is love a genuine act of kindness between one human to another? This is a question Vivinos wanted to answer when she started the series of Alien Stage, and through seeing the characters care for one another, sacrifice themselves, and have deep connections, which seem to close the gaps between hatred and affection, we can form an idea of what love really means in the unforgiving world of Alien Stage. Love is the ultimate human emotion. We all as humans have the freedom to love. It's almost as if to be human in the first place, you have to love. But put into an environment like Alien Stage, where the idea of love is warped and compressed, will your humanity be lost in the process? Or will love, the strongest human emotion, be the force that drives humanity forward? What I think Alien Stage shows is that even in the furthest depths of dystopia and hell, so long as humanity exists, so does love. In an interview, Vivinos was asked if focusing on love as a theme had influenced or changed her in any ways, to which she described a perspective on love which I think is vital to understanding the true meaning behind Alien Stage. No matter the circumstances, everyone has the freedom to love. It's a choice we all have. Of course, love comes with its wounds, but those wounds coexist with love. The characters in Alien Stage are the same. They are drawn to each other, yet they also hate each other. Even within extreme egoism, love exists. This really demonstrates the idea that love is a force, inherent to the human existence, that cannot be suppressed or diminished. It can only be warped and reshaped as something sharp or toxic, because love itself is ambiguous, and does not take only one form. Still, Alien Stage explores the different ways love expresses itself, when humans are placed into a world fully absent of humanity. And through the characters, we can see exactly how love is the one hope in the world of chaos and suffering. Going back to what was said about whether love is a human instinct or genuine selflessness, I think this dilemma really manifests itself through the characters of Mizi and Till. Mizi and Till are two different characters who juxtapose each other in their belief of the nature of love. At the end of Karma, Isaac in this asks a question to which we as the viewers are left to consider from what we've seen in this series so far.
사랑하며 언젠가 올날의 희망을 품는 것은 살고자 하는 본능인가 이타심인가?
While Mizi more so believes in the former answer, that love is a human survival instinct based on a foundation of exploiting others for your own personal benefit and survival.
이 모든 괴로움의 주범은 사랑하면서도 자취하지 않고선 살아갈 수 없는 존재들이.
Till practiced the second form of love, which is more of an unconditional love that's stemming from his kindness and optimism. Mizi and Till are both the protagonists in a way, but they are both total parallels to one another and embody opposite versions of love. Ivan and Sua, the characters which in a way act as the other halves and structural counterparts of Mizi and Till respectively, are characters which show similar but unique perspectives on love and are essential to our understanding Mizi, Till, and the theme of love in Alien Stage as a whole. Let's begin with Ivan, a character whose love is often viewed as forceful or in vain, but I'd like to convince you why Ivan is far more complicated and kind in his affection towards Till. As a child, Ivan was emotionally distant and struggled to connect with others in an act garden. While other kids admired him from afar, his inability to understand or express emotions left him isolated, and Ivan preferred it that way. That is, until he met Mizi, Sua, and Till. Ivan didn't know how to bond naturally, so he learned by watching others. He copied emotional behaviours, rather than experiencing them authentically, which shaped how he approached friendship and love. Witnessing the intense bond between Mizi and Sua, who saw each other as divine, left a lasting impression on Ivan. Ivan noticed how Till looked at Mizi with the same worshipful awe, like she was his saviour in a cruel world. Ivan craved that kind of love for himself. He wanted to be seen by Till the way Till saw Mizi. Not knowing any other way to love, Ivan began to idolize Till in the same way. Ivan having failed in his love for Till being reciprocated was due to his inability to communicate his emotions and express those feelings in a healthy way. As he never learnt how to love or how to bond with other people, he instead carried out unpredictable behaviours which left Till confused and hurt. Ivan never forced his love onto Till, but he couldn't communicate his emotions and created distrust and misunderstanding between the two men. This emotional withdrawal denies Till the opportunity to respond or change anything, stripping him of agency. Although Till cared for Ivan deeply, seeing him as his closest bond after Mizi, Ivan's silence and final decision to sacrifice himself without Till's input leaves Till confused, horrified, and emotionally devastated. However, the meaning behind Ivan's sacrifice can be explored further to reveal the nature of his love and attraction to Till. This kiss is interesting as it provides a question between the selflessness and selfishness of Ivan's love. This kiss and his sacrifice, was it something Ivan did out of selfishness, or was it done out of genuine care for Till? Ivan is someone who believes his love is selfish and cruel. What he performs as his final act of free will is an action which takes that selfishness even further by physically forcing his affection onto Till. This is also reflected in the heart scene, which depicts Ivan's selfish side and how he pushes his love onto Till without proper communication or restraint. It is both the act of ultimate selfishness and extreme selflessness. And through Ivan's sacrifice, we are left with a poignant feeling that even though Ivantil was toxic, lacked communication, and required affection, their love was still unable to be suppressed, right until the end. Once again, demonstrating the insurmountable power of human love, and the freedom to love which all humans possess. In short, Ivan's love is as self-centered as it is altruistic. But no matter how warped and damaging his love was, it demonstrates the universal human freedom to love, and be loved, and shows once more that love is a force which cannot be stopped. Sua is quite similar to Ivan in how she idolizes her lover to the point of sacrificing her life to save Mizi. Like Ivan, Sua is shaped by trauma and self-hate, having been conditioned from a young age to accept her own death as inevitable. Her overwhelming fear of losing Mizi led her to believe that dying for her was the most natural and obvious act of love. In her mind, this sacrifice protects Mizi and offers her a future she believes Mizi will be happier and freer. However, this decision ultimately robs Mizi of her voice in their relationship. There are strong implications that Mizi too wished to die for Sua, and her survival is fueled by guilt and a desperate desire not to hurt Sua. Sua's well-intentioned sacrifice becomes a prison for Mizi, who avoids confronting her own pain and bottles up the feelings that then destroy her. The imbalance in their relationship stems from Sua assuming she knew what was best, without allowing Mizi to choose for herself. Sua's childhood and upbringing also directly affects how she views the ideas of love. We can see in his comic, My Heavenly Garden, it was her sister who taught her the truth behind the alien stage at such a young age. It's not just romantic love that Sua was denied, it was from her own people, the only people that she had left. You're already dumb enough as it is. Why don't you go to a place like that and just pop and die? I pity you, Sua. To which Sua responds, I couldn't stop thinking about going pop and dying. You were the pitiful one all along. Rather than hell, where else would I fight at the Heavenly Garden? Sua was brought up to be scared of death. However, when she met Mizi, she began to see death as less of a threat, but more of a liberty, getting to make decisions for herself and being able to die for a cause. As it was her self-pity and her damaging childhood which made her believe she didn't deserve this love. This also supports Mizi's viewpoint, as this abuse comes from humans themselves and not just aliens, who then go on to abuse Sua as well, out of their spite and jealousy, while they exploit others. What about the other half of our favourite doomed Yuri? In the early part of the comic, Mizi asserts dominance over Sua, towering over her and calling her adorable, in a way that implies fragility, even crushability. While many fans loved the scene, it didn't feel entirely romantic to me, partly because Sua never smiles. Mizi likely learnt this kind of thinking from her guardians, who treated her as more of a pet than a person, finding her cute even when she was in pain. That warped sense of affection seemed to shape how she views Sua, delicate, pitiful, breakable. But unlike her guardians, Mizi is human too. She can understand when something hurts. Her guilty expression after kissing Sua's hand suggests that she realizes this, either regretting how she saw Sua or fearing that she'll lose her. Even if her thoughts reduce Sua to something fragile, her actions show not restraint but care, choosing to embrace Sua. Mizi lost Sua in round 1, but unlike what viewers initially assumed, she already knew everything about Alien Stage, about death, and about what Sua was doing for her. Despite knowing, Mizi pretended not to. Why? Because she had once tried to leave Sua. She saw how much that hurt her and chose instead to stay, silently carrying the pain. Sua's pure love and devotion was shown to Mizi, and made Mizi believe that her love was less. In the scene in Karma, where Mizi and Sua are found fighting before going on stage in round 1, we can assume that this is Mizi trying to tell Sua not to sacrifice themselves, that if they tie, both of them can get away and live together forever. I think in this moment, Sua decides to pretend for Mizi, and instinctually covers Mizi's mouth to keep her quiet and keep her innocent facade of being blissfully unaware. Then Sua smiles, not because she's happy, but it's because that's what she assumes that Mizi needs in that moment. Because if Mizi believes that everything is okay, then maybe it will be, just for a little longer. And that's enough for Sua. Enough to hold back the truth, enough to bear the weight herself so Mizi won't have to. Because love in that moment isn't about honesty, it's about devotion and Sua's personal sacrifice, shielding the person she loves from the trauma that awaits her, even if it doesn't turn out how she wanted it to in the end. Mizi's silence was her only way of protecting Sua by loving her in the only way she knew how, even if it meant sacrificing her own emotional needs. Even though Sua physically sacrificed herself, Mizi sacrificed her livelihood. And that choice left her bitter and conflicted. Watching someone she loved suffer while being unable to help created a deep emotional paradox. As a result, Mizi projected her grief onto humanity itself. She saw how love, something meant to be gentle, could turn so cruel. Sua had sacrificed herself out of love, and Mizi endured that pain in return. So, she began to see human nature as inherently flawed and destructive. Luka's crying at the beginning of Karma isn't just a reaction to grief, it's a reflection of how deeply love shapes him and how poorly he understands how to carry it. His tears mark a regression into a childlike state, revealing a coping mechanism rooted in emotional avoidance. Whenever love is lost, first with Hyunwoo, then with Hyuna, Luka doesn't process the pain, he retreats, he hides. This charming strategic persona we see throughout the series is just that, a mask. Beneath it is someone fragile, someone who never learned how to be with the people he loved. He never truly processed Hyunwoo's death. He buried that love and the guilt that came with it. But when Hyuna dies, all that unresolved emotion resurfaces and overwhelms him. In Karma, Mizi's raw grief and emotional clarity stand in direct contrast to Luka's confusion. She loved too, but she felt it, she carried it, she learned to live with it, even if it was tough, leading her to do what she's doing now. But Luka, on the other hand, he becomes lost, and when Mizi lets him go, he doesn't even look at her. He's an amazing competitor, clever enough to exploit his competitor's weaknesses and love. But what happens when you strip him of that? If you take that all away, the stage, the aliens, the cameras, all the glory and fame, sadly, it turns out that without them, Luka's not that different from a powerless child. He's immature, scared, and maybe even a little naive in his thinking. The truth is, he never had to cope with Hyunwoo's death. He had it buried so deep inside of his mind that once enough time had passed, it became almost irrelevant. And it all comes back to bite him in Karma. Ironic, isn't it? Because with Hyuna gone, Luka finally gets lost. Two extremely opposite realities collapse. Mizi's, which is a fully realized pain and a deep understanding of the world they live in, and Luka's, which has only ever been confined to a small space, so confused and so terribly blind. He looks at Mizi, but he's not really there with her. When she lets him go, all he sees is Hyunwoo. The guilt is finally catching up with him and burning it all to the ground. This one thing he tried to block so desperately throughout his entire life, it's here now, looking him in the eyes, peacefully smiling. Waiting. Hyunwoo is shown instead of Hyuna, as she's been carrying the weight of her brother's death, as Luka never felt guilt or remorse. Hyuna felt both of their guilt, and now with her gone, Luka is finally facing for what he has done. The constant parallels between child Luka and adult Luka really show that he never learned to love beyond that of a naive child. His love was simple, and was carried out more as a childish aggression rather than it as a means to push humanity forward, so he wasn't really living with love, as Hyuna would say. On one hand, Luka is cunning and merciless, but on the other, he he is fragile and alone. And I really think that despite his actions throughout Alien Stage, there is sympathy to be felt for Luka. He too was never taught how to love, so why should we expect him to magically learn how to? Now, moving on to Hyuna. Hyuna and the Rebellion aren't afraid to be brutal or violent to survive, but their goal isn't to survive, it's freedom. They just want to create a world where humans don't have to hide away or just plainly accept their fate, but live with love and carry it with them. When, maybe one day, their songs won't be forced, but a mere expression of pure, raw emotion. This clearly mirrors Hyuna's behaviour as she sings on the stage. In the comic, The Witch's Decision, Hyuna fights against Mizi ideas. Peace doesn't come from violence. She's not rejecting violence altogether, as she has used this violence before. She knows it's necessary, but not enough. I mean, they could simply eliminate all aliens that they came across, but that wouldn't liberate them or provide anything for the future of humanity. Even though the Project Echion was naive and too carefree, it's more than just surviving, and it embodies all of what Hyuna stands for. Peace comes from strategy and deliberate choices driven by love. When her brother Hyunlu died, and she saw the expression on Luka's face, everything she had cared for had been lost. If saving the world meant losing the one she loved most, was it even worth it? She loves Luka too, and when forced to choose between justice and desire, Hyuna is crushed by the realization that love can't always save everyone. Yet, even in grief, she clings on to the belief that love still matters. Love, to Hyuna, isn't about purity or perfection. It's not about deserving it. It's about transformation. Even when it leads to sacrifice, it creates something lasting. That's why she bears the weight of her guilt, her contradictions. Because she still believes that love can still lead to hope. She understands now, true change doesn't come from saving others. It comes from when they learn to fight for themselves. But they'll only do that if someone shows them it's possible, if someone loves them enough. Like how Hyuna loves Luka, even though she feels guilty for doing so. That's why her final sacrifice is so powerful. It's not just about saving Luka, it's about freeing him, showing him that he's worth loving, that life is still worth fighting for. In that moment, Hyuna chooses love. Again, not as a weakness, but as a strength. Forgive yourself, again and again, because everything begins from there. She tells Luka to forgive himself, but still sacrifices herself as an act of ultimate revenge. Yet, I personally think that was out of love for Luka, even if she doesn't recognize it herself. Her true goal is to make him understand the pain that one feels when a loved one dies in their arms. She makes him understand how she felt when he took Hyunwoo away from her, makes him understand the everlasting negative impacts his manipulation has on people. Hyuna's death and sacrifice becomes a puzzle Luka has to solve, the puzzle of love and death. Her death forces him to understand the meaning of love. You must lose something to understand its importance. Hyuna knows that no matter how much she tries to compress the love she has for Luka, he is still her one and only weakness. And in turn, Hyuna is Luka's weakness as well. She knows that the only thing keeping Luka alive is the hope that he will one day meet Hyuna, like he is now on this very stage. We've already spoken about how Till is a symbol of unconditional love, and is the antithesis to Mizi when it comes to what love represents. Till is the only character who was taught how to love, and it is Till who would teach these lessons to the next generation. Mizi speaks about how love is humanity's demise, because it's something that's either exploiting or to be exploited. But Till is the counter-argument to her viewpoint. Till never forces love on others, nor did he let others force their love upon him, because Till learned something that no one else did: how to love. This was something lost, since humans were raised by the very ones who exploit them. This, I believe, is what the last scene of Till's appearance represents. He survived despite it all, and he's smiling at the child who is a mix of Mizi and Ivan, the two people he loved the most, and loved him the most. Just like his mother who taught him how to love, and who Till resembles in this scene, he will now teach the next generation how to love, along with the rest of the rebellion. who represents a force driven by love for humanity, rather than humanity's hatred towards aliens. Well, I think that Till's appearance in the final scene answers Isaac's question, and by default Vivinos' question as well, about the nature of love. Till is unconditional, non-exploitative, love personified. Also, Till finds a way to express his love in a healthy way, through the form of art instead of exploitation or pressure. And his presence is basically saying, yes, even in a world where humanity seems warped and humans must fight and exploit each other to survive, love still prevails. Till being free and living with love despite his traumatic past in Alien Stage shows that despite all the wounds and conflict caused by love, it is ultimately a will to care for one another and the most important form of compassion in human existence. But let's zoom in on Till's own experiences with love earlier in his life. Every time we see Mizi from Till's perspective, she has a glow around her. Till idealizes her and even imagines her in situations where she's not there. He holds out his hands for her, even though he knows that they will never reach. It's obvious that Till's feelings for Mizi are genuine, but that doesn't mean that they aren't superficial as well. In his flashbacks, he's never interacting with Mizi, or learning who she truly is, like Sua does. He watches from afar and pictures her as a beacon of hope, evident in his reaction to seeing her before his quote-unquote death. He's more in love with the idea of Mizi's perfection, kindness, and beauty, like the persona of Mizi we see in that one comic from before Karma came out, and he is in love with Mizi herself. In Unknown, till the end, the lyrics are, "Error, no better options," as Mizi's in the background. This shows that he's somehow self-aware that she's his coping mechanism, as he ignores the abuse he's suffering from the aliens, yet he indulges and overdoses in it willingly. This sentence reads to me as though he chose and fixated on her because he had no other options. It's clear he needed a muse, someone to hold onto a pedestal and idolize, because Till's circumstances are so bleak. Yet to him, Mizi remains so pure and kind-hearted, which is what I believe he wants to be. He doesn't truly love Mizi for who she is, but instead is inspired by her, as he needs something to reach for to keep him going. Now, moving on to Ivan and Till. While we've already touched on what Ivan's kiss and sacrifice meant in terms of his intentions, it's also important to explore how Till responded to Ivan and the effects Ivan's sacrifice had on him. Even though Ivan's sacrifice was out of love, done to bring Till hope and restore his will to win Alien Stage, the long-lasting effects on it are of course far more damaging to Till than Ivan would wish to inflict. I do believe that in the short term, Ivan was successful in giving Till the will to live, as in Blink Gone, Till heavily contrasts himself in Cure, and is clearly trying to defeat Luka and to survive. However, the recent comic shows Till overwhelmed by his guilt, confusion, and grief in response to his love and sacrifice. This comic is really about Till's fluctuating grief for Ivan. Grief isn't something that can be predicted, or something that slowly flickers away with time. It goes through various stages and takes different forms. As the comic isn't finished yet, we can't see what Till's ultimate opinion of Ivan is yet, but we can see how Ivan deals with the burden of Ivan's sacrifice and the effect it has on him. What really wounds Till the most at this stage is how he doesn't understand himself anymore. What he feels for Ivan, what Ivan felt for him, why Ivan died to protect him. He talks about how a flurry of emotions, and anger, sadness, and fear, were what destroyed him at the time. These could perhaps link to the 5 stages of grief, but I think it's more displaying how Till is overwhelmed by everything that's happening to him, and still feels haunted by his guilt from Ivan's sacrifice and his confusion about it all. The Ivan we see in this comic isn't a ghost, it's a manifestation of Till's guilt and self-hatred, but Till doesn't understand why he's seeing the quote-unquote ghost, and what he now feels towards Ivan. It isn't as simple as "I love you" or "I hate you." Till seems to feel regret about things he never said to Ivan, and never will, whilst also feeling anger towards Ivan, due to his unpredictable behaviour that never communicated what he truly felt to Till. All of these feelings are coming together in this period of grief, where Till is left to struggle with the burden of survival, as well as the knowing that Mizi is out there, suffering, and he can't do anything to help her. Although the kiss was intended to give Till a message of love and a sign of hope, Till is still confused by Ivan's actions and currently sees it as more of a reminder of grief and misunderstanding of Ivan rather than being able to live peacefully because of it. Although it was Ivan's intention to bring hope for a better future for Till, sacrifice, as seen with all the pairs of Alien Stage, always has a wounding effect. This theme of sacrifice, not necessarily making everything better, is central to the entire story. Sua and Hyuna's deaths both have some levels of toxicity and selfishness to them. It's evident that no sacrifice is wholly selfless. We can't expect Till to automatically accept Ivan's sacrifice and understand how Ivan felt from this. Ivan's sacrifice to finally show Till his love and bring him hope. Sua's sacrifice for Mizi to live a quote-unquote better future. Hyuna's sacrifice to teach Luka empathy and remind him to live with love. Can we really call any of these a selfless, meaningful death? We seem to always think that dying to save the life of someone you love is the ultimate act of love and care. Yet, in Alien Stage, sacrifice seems to be done both selfishly and selflessly, and always has negative effects on the other person. Now we're going to go into the ships, and specifically the heart scenes and what they mean for each. Mizi and Sua. They have a dangerous level of toxic codependency with each other. To cope with their hopeless reality, they pour their everything into their love for each other. They become the other's salvation. And in turn, when one of them dies, the other is ruined. In the comics, Mizi felt stuck with her guardian, and being in Anat's garden gave her a sense of freedom. She saw Sua as someone who she was stronger than physically, and whom she could crush, yet also loved deeply, genuinely. And Sua knew this. Sua knew that Mizi felt this way, but she allowed it nonetheless, leading them to bond over this strange dynamic and codependency of each other, being each other's god. In the heart scene, both Mizi and Sua's hearts are shown broken in half and bleeding. They press their hearts together as if they're trying to fix each other through their relationship. Instead of healing, even more blood gushes out. This symbolizes Sua sacrificing herself for Mizi's survival, but also represents Mizi's mindset shifting because of Sua. The more they love each other, the more damaging their relationship becomes. However, their love is clearly reciprocated, unlike other relationships in the cast, because they willingly press their hearts together. This act shows mutual commitment and emotional vulnerability. They are also depicted wearing nothing but veils over their heads, which can symbolize marriage and another life. Till Death Do Us Part is an example of how this can be relevant. But yet it also represents a sense of safety and security they feel in each other's presence, like they're in their own little world, removed from judgment or harm. In the scene, Mizi and Sua are standing upside down against gravity, yet the blood from their hearts still flows downwards in the normal direction. This contradiction seems intentional. It reflects how their relationship defies what is considered normal or correct in their universe. The direction of the blood could be referencing the presence of homophobia in Alien Stage, such as Mizi being told she should only be with boys, a notion that deeply disgusts her. Mizi and Sua's relationship goes against social expectations, and the unnatural flow of blood symbolizes this resistance to what they're told is the quote-unquote right way to love. I just want to quickly mention, also in Karma, there seems to be a lot of religious imagery. We can compare this to Christianity. We know about the symbolism and importance of nails in the crucifixion of Jesus. The crucifix symbolizes the death for our sins out of love for humanity. Think that the heart symbolizes Sua and the hands are Mizi. Sua sacrificed herself for Mizi because Sua knew that Mizi was her universe. She knew that she wouldn't be able to go on without Mizi, and that Mizi had more to live for. This also goes back to my Clematis, about how Sua was the one explaining about religion, and Mizi was the one talking about mankind's feelings. We can reference this to how that once Sua died, she was entirely forgotten about to everyone besides Mizi. This reflects how Mizi believed in Sua as her god, yet no one else believed in this religion besides Mizi. Mizi was trying to mentally grasp the death of Sua and the reasoning behind it, even if she knew why it occurred. Mizi believed that nobody besides Sua deserves to live, because Sua did it out of pure love and sacrifice. Hyunluka and what it says about human connection. Love is what we seek out inherently, something displayed through the way Luka is alone after Hyuna escapes. The way his room has posters of her everywhere, how he stares at one, kisses it, he craves that connection to come back. And when he does see her again, he's the most human we've ever seen him be. His smile is genuine, there's colour in his face, his heart monitor is red. He walks towards her, completely ignoring the gun to his head, because the connection is right there. In Viga, we're shown another world, one where the characters aren't in alien stage, where they're free and happy. While they aren't with each other, except Luka and Hyuna, in these scenes they aren't alone either. Sua is laughing with a friend, a picture of someone on her phone case. You can see someone in the background as Mizi is smiling, like she's doing an activity with others. Someone is in the foreground as Till draws, implying he's in an art class with others. Someone walks up to Ivan as he's reading a love note. Hyunwoo is riding a bike with another kid. Someone is taking pictures of two little figures together. Because even if you're not in a situation where a human connection is all you have, we still need it. We still want it. Its importance does not lessen. And we carry those connections. Love with us even after someone is gone. Hyuna cries for Hyunwoo. She thinks about him and Luka as she's with her family in the resistance, because she still carries that love for them with her. Mizi weeps as she holds Till and remembers Sua because she carries the love for them in her. It's something so deeply ingrained within us, so natural that we can never part with it, because it makes us human. Viga is composed like a waltz, but the lyrics and the name tell you what it really is. It's a lullaby. In a story reliant on music to add even more detail to what it's presenting to its audience, the video most centered on love and human connection has a lullaby, one of the first pieces of music you hear after you're born. In the heart scene, Luka and Hyuna's pose is the same as Michelangelo's La Pieta, but is inverted. Sorry if I said that wrong. This suggests that the role of Mary and Jesus here are reversed in some ways as well. Luka saw Hyuna as a mother figure since she protected him. However, she sacrificed herself for him and the rebels, hence shattering her own heart in the scene, like what Jesus did to save humanity from sin. Hyunwoo's body is also laid over his shoulder. Some of Hyuna's blood landed on his body, showing Luka's slow descent into guilt and acknowledgement. On his right hand, Luka holds his heart, that is safe and unharmed, but it is dirtied and scarred from the blood of Hyuna's heart, reflecting the impact that her death had on his character. We've only seen ever Luka wear white in the entire series until now. Again, it shows how much he has changed from this experience and has been damaged by it. In the heart scene, Ivan is crying and sweating whilst forcing his love on Till. He definitely felt guilty and selfish doing this, but he couldn't think of any other way to express his love for Till on the stage. The love that Till has towards Ivan does exist, but it's much more complicated compared to Ivan's romantic feelings towards him. Till wasn't ready for Ivan's direct feelings yet, but Ivan kept pressing. In return, Ivan's heart, life, was shattered when he himself bit down because he loved Till too much. Ivan could have escaped alien stage and joined the rebels, but he stayed because of Till. It was Ivan's own actions that led to his death. Moreover, Till's love was already given and now belongs to Ivan. But Ivan doesn't realise it because it's literally right under his nose. Everyone can see it, but him. These scenes come off more about people's perceptions of the relationships rather than what the relationships are actually like in reality. It shows the emotions of what they think their love is like. Ivan didn't force his love on Till, but kept quiet and cared for him. Hyuna didn't break her own heart, she loved Luka despite the pain. Mizi and Sua weren't two half people pretending to become whole, their love was genuine and full. So overall, this is highlighting that love isn't wrong or corrupted. As selfish as you believe you are for loving another person, everyone has the freedom and deserves to be loved. Although, I'd also like to point out that the logos in these scenes are also focused on the mistakes of the pairs. Ivan and Till facing each other, but never able to see eye to eye, Luka isolated after inflicting harm, and Sua as an inverted holy entity, alone in her martyr role. This scene is the best scene for demonstrating how even when love is warped and made toxic, it still exists, and is the ultimate form of human emotion. Even in extreme egoism and the unforgiving world of Alien Stage, love exists. In short, Alien Stage shows that love isn't just instinct or exploitation, it is a movement of genuine kindness and selflessness carried out by someone who cares deeply for another person. And although these acts of love can have selfish motivations beyond their carrying appearance, love still prevails. It is the ultimate human emotion, and thus, where human exists, so does love. Even in places where people are stripped of their autonomy, humanity, and life, love is something that cannot be suppressed, because everyone has the freedom to love and deserves to be loved in return. So yeah, that was a lot. Please let me know in the comments what you think. Please send love to the creators of Alien Stage, as it really is absolute cinema, and I had a blast deep diving into the characters and what they mean. Thank you so much for watching till the end. This has been our very first video, so if you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe and comment what animes or type of videos you would like to see next. We'll be back soon with some more PKX fiction, so for now, take care, be safe, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye!